A reading from the Gospel according to John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. John was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, full of grace and truth.
The Word was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. I begin this year's Christmas Eve homily not with the familiar story from Luke with the shepherds and angels, but with the cosmic poetry from the opening of the Gospel according to John. The Word was in the beginning with God. What an extraordinary sentence that is. It contains multitudes, it contains proclamation and strength and awe and mystery. So let's take a closer look. In the Bible, the word with a capital W is a translation of the Greek word logos. Logos, L-O-G-O-S. The concept of logos originated in classical Greek thought and was used by Plato and Aristotle. The concept was also found in Indian, Egyptian, and Persian philosophical and theological systems. Now, logos is not easy to define, but it has a purpose. Logos is an attempt to give expression to divine reason. Divine reason. Now, both of those descriptors are important. Divine, as in of, from, or like God, and reason, as in explanation, purpose, cause. Logos, then, is our limited human attempt to express something that is of, from, or like God, and that has a purpose or cause. In John's Gospel, that something is the Word. That something is the eternal Christ, the universal Christ, the divine essence that is part of the Holy Trinity of God, Christ, Spirit. The Word, capital W, was present at the very beginning. 13.7 billion years ago, at the beginning of the universe, the Word was active in the creation of the cosmos. The Word was with God, and the Word was God, and that was the first incarnation. The second incarnation was when the Word, the eternal Christ, the universal Christ, came into being as a singular person, a baby boy, born of Mary, in a barn. His name was Jesus. You see, God had made covenants with Abraham and David and God's people, and God had given the 10 Commandments as instructions for living in right relationship. God had heard the cries of the people and delivered them from slavery. God had worked through unlikely messengers like Jonah and Daniel and Ruth, Naomi, and Esther. God had spoken fierce truths and warnings through the prophets, and yet all of that only took the story of God and humanity so far. The people needed to experience God in a new way, and God needed to be in relationship with the people in a new way. So the infinite one takes on finite form, becoming embodied in the person of Jesus. God's presence was poured into a single human being as a gift for us and for our sake. If that does not take your breath away on Christmas Eve, I don't know what will. Eugene Peterson, editor of The Message paraphrase of the New Testament, he puts it this way. Listen to what Peterson writes. Jesus is the coming together in final form of themes and energies and movements that had been set in motion. Every day we wake up in the middle of something that is already going on and that has been going on for a long time. We are neither accidental nor incidental to the story. The words of Eugene Peterson. And so it is that the birth of Jesus continues the ancient story of God with us and is at the same time a new story of God with us. You and I, we are absolutely critical to the continuation of the story for this generation and the next and the next and the next. And on Christmas night, we get continuity with the past, plus good news of what is to come and what already is, all born of divine love. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. I could end there and put a period, but we must ask a question. The question is this: what is the reason for the Word made flesh? What difference does it make? Well, friends, the answer is in the text. John 1, verses 4 and 5. Listen again. What has come into being was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Life, light, there it is. The eternal Christ and the person of Jesus, they both vibrate with life and light. And so we, as followers of Jesus, are invited to join in the dance of life and light so that we can be conduits of God's love. You see, we receive God's love in order to be love, to receive love, to show love, to proclaim love, to expand love, to refuse to surrender to hatred and evil. We are called to do our part in decorating the world with love. As this year, 2024, comes to a close and we set our sights on a new year that will undoubtedly be fraught, perilous and painful and sad at times, the story of Jesus' birth asks us to recommit to the way of light and love. Love in our relationships, love in our learning and in our working, love in our generosity, love in our disappointments and our heartaches, love in our questions and our quests, love in our compassion for people in crisis, love for our bodies, and love with our bodies, and love for every step we get to take on this planet until our days are done. As we will sing in a moment, love has come, a light in the darkness. Love is Jesus within and among us. Love is everlasting and free. I close with words not my own and not from the Bible, but a piece of poetry. It's written by Susan Paulo-Cherwin. It's called The Word is Life. And yes, she's talking about the Word, the Logos, the divine reason, word with a capital W. Here is Susan's poem. Blessed are you, O God, ruler of the universe, for you spoke, and the world was created. In him was life. Your word set the planets and stars in their spiral dance through space and gave the universe. Your word joined the atoms in their spiral dance through matter and gave life. And the life was the light of all people. And because we kept misunderstanding the words, you sent the word. Your word entered our journey through time and gave love. Your word formed, filled, freed, fulfilled, transformed. In him was life. Amen.